Hello Ice and Fire Nerds, this is Chris, and this will continue our Game of Thrones foreshadowing series, and we'll pick up right where we left off with Season 1, Episode 6, A Golden Crown.
Dracarys.
Alright, so let's jump right in. In our first scene, we have Arya and Syrio.
Do you pray to the gods?
The old and the new.
There is only one God, and his name is death.
And there is only one thing we say to death. Not today.
So we hear Syrio telling her there's only one God and his name is death, and what do we tell the God of death? Not today. And of course this leads to this.
If you would learn, you must come with me.
Where?
Far and away across the narrow sea to Bravos.
My dancing master was from Bravos.
To be a dancing master is a special thing, but to be a faceless man, that is something else entirely.
So this definitely points to the fact that one day Arya would serve the many-faced god, at least for a time being, and she'll probably continue to do so as a faceless assassin. And of course, this is one of the big pieces of evidence that leads people to believe that Syrio for real and Jaqen Hagar are the same person. Now, this is not necessarily a theory video, but I will say that I think this is a very, very cool theory. I've looked into it quite a bit, and I think it would make sense, because otherwise, why the hell was Jaqen in the Black Cells in the first place? There's no reason for him to really be there. Could have already had his eye on Arya and wanted to train her in swordplay a little bit as Syrio, but Syrio's past seems to be pretty established, and I think they did confirm this is not the case. So although I think this would be very cool, I don't think this theory is actually accurate. Anyway, in our next scene, we see Dany eating a horse heart. And of course, during this scene while she's eating the heart, which looks damn tasty, Viserys continues to doubt Dany, and he even says this.
You won't be a real Targaryen. You won't be a true dragon.
So of course this continues the theme of her being powerful and Viserys not being the true dragon, and this theme of course started running in episode 1 when she got in the hot bath. This continues throughout this entire episode being a golden crown. This entire scene was about the stallion that mounts the world being the prophecy of the Dothraki, the cow of cows, and at the time they believe this is going to be Rhaego, Dany's unborn son, but it ends up being this. So in Season 6, she becomes the cow of cows by killing all the other cows. But anyway, the point here being that it ends up being Dany and not Viserys, and certainly not Rhaego. And as we heard Jorah say in a later episode, the Dothraki only respect power. And what else shows power like killing all the cows by burning them alive and walking out of the same fire, butt-ass naked without so much as one singed eyebrow. And of course, during this scene, we see Viserys get a little bit jealous.
They love her.
So Viserys says they love her. He starts to get really, really jealous here, and ultimately that leads him to get drunk and do something stupid.
A crown for a king.
But right before this, to continue this theme, we see this between Jorah and Viserys.
The scene on my shoulders since I was 5 years old, and no one has ever given me what they gave to her in that tent. Never. Does loyalty mean nothing to you?
It means everything to me.
And yet here you stand.
And yet here I stand.
So we see Jorah stop Viserys for the first time, showing his true loyalty to Dany. And during this set of scenes here where we see him in the tent, as well as him stopping Viserys, who is supposed to be the true king of Westeros that he was sworn to, this shows that this is the first time we realize that he is actually in love with Dany, and he is now loyal to her. And in our next scene, we see Tyrion confess his crimes.
When I was 12, I milked my eel into a pot of turtle stew. I flogged the one-eyed snake. I skinned my sausage. I made the bald man cry. Into the turtle stew, which I do believe my sister ate. At least I hope she did.
So anyway, no real particular foreshadowing here that I wanted to mention. It's just damn funny as hell. But I will mention one thing here. During this scene, Tyrion tells this little joke here, and this is the first time we heard it, I believe, in the show, where he says,
Once brought a jackass and a honeycomb into a brothel.
Silence!
and this has been repeated a couple times now throughout the series, and another time we hear it was in season 6 right here.
More jakes.
I once walked into a brothel with a honeycomb and a jackass. The madam says...
So the answer to this joke is all that matters in Game of Thrones. Who cares who dies at the end? Who cares the White Walkers wipe out the entire world? Who cares if Jon Snow or Dany live, or they have a baby together, or if they rule together, or whatever? The only thing that matters in Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire is the answer to this damn riddle. And hell, even that little bastard Robin wants to know the answer to this joke.
What happened next?
So if anybody knows this damn answer, please leave it in the comments below. It has to have something to do with sweet ass, right? Anyway, in our next scene we see this.
Open the moon door. Then you will leave by one door or the other.
So Lysa has the moon door open to show Tyrion how civilized they are in the Vale. So that introduces us to the moon door, and of course later on we see this. And in our next scene we see Renly get a little pissed off at Robert.
Those were the days. Which days exactly? The ones where half of Westeros fought the other half and millions died? Or before that? When the Mad King slaughtered women and babies because the voices in his head told him they deserved it? Or way before that, when dragons burned whole cities to the ground?
Easy, boy.
So this is the hunting scene, of course, where Robert continues to drink the 180 proof wine. This continues the theme that kind of picked up last episode when Renly started to think about becoming king here after Loras says he would be a great king. So this starts the rift here between Robert and Renly, and although he didn't see it coming, he took his chance later on when we see this.
I swear to you, I will see the Lannisters answer for your husband's murder. When I take King's Landing!
So in our next scene we see Ned sitting on the Iron Throne.
I cannot give you back your homes or restore your dead to life.
But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
So of course Ned here sitting on the Iron Throne is normal, being handed the king while the king is away and Robert's on his hunting trip to get killed by a pig. But just to throw this out here for you guys, a little bit of history in the books here, this reminds me of the Hour of the Wolf. The Hour of the Wolf refers to a few days back in 131 AC, I believe, when Cregan Stark governed in King's Landing. This was at the end of the Dance of the Dragons. Of course, that was the Targaryen Civil War. After the Dance of the Dragons, basically Aegon II Targaryen was found poisoned, and that's when Aegon III Targaryen took the Iron Throne. Cregan Stark had actually been opposed to Aegon II during the Dance of the Dragons, but like Ned, he very much sought justice and wanted to find the poisoners of Aegon II. And after finding and arresting the people who did poison Aegon II, Aegon III actually named Cregan Stark his Hand of the King, and I believe Aegon III was only 11 years old. So he actually did rule King's Landing for a day as Hand of the King under Aegon III, but after finding the poisoners, some took the black as far as going to the wall and some were executed, but then only after one day, Cregan Stark resigned as Hand of the King and returned to Winterfell. Alright guys, so that'll do it for this episode. As usual, thank you for all the support, especially to you guys on Patreon. And as usual, a big shout out to my executive Patreon smokescreen producers, Hoss Griffin, Vol Guy 10, Lala Gig, Kisa Powell, Mark Joseph, aka The Snow in Winterfell, and Marilyn Bentley. Thank you guys so much. And also a quick reminder, we do have new smokescreen shirts available. The House Sigil t-shirts are now available in the Teespring store, and that link is available in the description below. So be sure to check that out if you would like to pick up a t-shirt or a hoodie, among other little products. So thanks again, you guys. Thanks to all you guys out there in YouTube land. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and make sure you click that little notification bell as well so you're notified when I drop a new video. So thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you